Hello, this is Emretta Art Studio. This is Michelle talking to you. And today we are doing a sketch of a snow leopard. I like to do my sketches freehand, and so that's what I'm doing here. And it's okay if you mess up and you need to erase. That's just part of drawing. It's part of life. So, and if you hear my little dog in the background, actually I have several little dogs. So, but this is like my underpainting that I did. I did that in gouache, and I'm using the Fabre-Castell Polychromos pencils. The Fabre-Castell Polychromos pencils, I have found that they don't like to go over a lot of like gouache and things like that. So this will probably be the last time I use any kind of gouache as an underlayment or watercolor for these pencils. I'll just use the pencils themselves and use solvent like the orange zest solvent. So, but here I'm using the reds to go over the black that I put down to give it life. When you use your blacks, you need to use either something like a warm color to under the black, or a cool color under your black, depending on what you're wanting it to do. The pencils that I'm using, that I use the most as far as colors went for this project, were light yellow ochre. I used a lot for the fur. I used the colors for the fur, the light browns that you're going to see, is the burnt sienna, raw umber, Van Dyke brown, walnut brown, and then for your grays, this was a lot of grays that I used in this. A lot of grays and actually blues in the drawing. To make a three-dimensional drawing and to make something that looks a little more, lifelike, you would use warm colors. You're going to use your violets. You're going to use pinks. You're going to use blues in places that you didn't think that you were going to need to use blues, pinks, or reds. So keep that in mind. And experiment. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to mess up. The gray that I'm using in this project is, I'm using Cold Gray 3. I'm also going to be using Payne's Gray, Warm Gray 4, Warm Gray, I think 1. It's pencil number 270 in the Warm Gray. And Warm Gray 3. So those were my primary colors that I used in this project. I also really like the Bistre, spelled B-I-S-T-R-E, pencil number 179 for color. For the blues, actually that wasn't all of them. I've got Warm Gray 2, so I used almost all of the different grays and silver browns in this piece. For the nose, I used Venetian red for the base color, for the base red in that. And that's, I believe, that in the ears was the only places I really used any of the Venetian red. For his eyes, and in a lot of the blue throughout that you're going to see, that light blue is the sky blue, pencil number 146. But that was the primary color in his eyes, and any of the like the shadows or under shadows. I also use the Cold Gray 2 quite a bit. And in the eyes, I also used what was called Earth Green, number 172, when I was going in through and I was layering. And several other background colors. A lot of the warm grays and cool grays I used. Warm gray 5, 2, warm gray 2, and I used dark sepia, number 175, for any of the dark browns that I had to shade down on the leopard's arm and his nose, or where I needed a really dark, but I really needed a dark warm tone. That's what I used. And this video here was 15 hours long, and I did make that a compact video down to like 1 hour, a little over an hour long. So, and I sped it up as fast as it would go. So if it's a little long, I apologize. I also use Cold Gray 6, Cold Gray 5. I know I used Indigo Blue. Yep, Dark Indigo. Dark Indigo is pretty much my primary go-to color for using with black. I prefer to use that because cold colors recede. And so even if you put it as a underlying color in a black, it's going to make it a cool black instead of a warm black. And if you take like a true red and the indigo blue and you put those down on a piece of paper and you put black over the top of it, you're going to see what I mean whenever I say it makes it cool or makes it warm, even though it's completely black. Of course, black, the color 199, the pencil there. I also used, this is one of my favorites that I used in this piece, was Nougat, number 178. It's a very, very interesting color. It's kind of, I would say it's almost like a mix between a French gray and a brown. But it makes a really nice brown tone for animal fur. Burnt umber, of course, is always a good color. And then for the background, I used, later on, I have used Chromium Green Opaque, Olive Green Yellowish, I used Cadmium Yellow Lemon, number 205, Light Green, 171, Permanent Green, Olive, 167. And then another one for background, Grass Green, 166. And Chrome Oxide Green, 278. Another one I used on the eyes, which was one to get all my shadows, and even like under the paws and the nostrils. I used with the blacks was the Deft Blue. And of course, since the Polychromos white doesn't show up really well, I used the Luminance, Caran d'Ache Luminance. It's a wax-based pencil. And then for anywhere I had whiskers that I needed to draw in or any highlights in the eyes, I used a like an indent tool. It has a small little, it's a metal ball on the end of it and an acrylic handle, and you just impress that into the paper and you can make lines for whiskers or fur or hair. just when you're doing it, make sure that you're going with the direction of the fur, the individual hairs, and don't get into a monotonous, repetitive stroking with your tool on the paper, because it's going to look like that whenever you go over the top of it with your colored pencils. It's going to look fake. It's not going to look realistic. So keep that in mind. So if you're getting bored, if you're needing to take a break from what you're doing, get up, move around, and when you do that, you're going to come back and you're going to look at your picture and you're going to see things that need corrected possibly. And I would suggest, I've been drawing for many years, so I have come to find out that whenever you do the drawing, if you do it all in one sitting, a lot of times you're going to not see your really, really big mistakes, and then you're going to come back the next day and look at it and go, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? If you've got to get a project done or you want to get something done quickly, pro tip, take a picture of it with a camera. Get away from it for a few minutes, eat something, go out for a walk, come back. And whenever you get your camera and take a picture of it, you're going to see, because it distorts the proportions. And it's going to make everything that was just a little noticeable, maybe a little noticeable to you or someone else, a whole lot noticeable. So you're going to be able to find out, oh, hey, well, this eyeball's not right, stuff's too far apart, the coloring's off, or the shape's off, or I don't like the composition, where things are going to be. So in the pencil stage, and early on in your drawing, that's when you can really manipulate and move and fix things. I will tell you that with a Prismacolor pencil, because they're not as pigmented as the Polychromos oils and Caran d'Ache pencils, which I've done a project with them recently, and I'm learning these pencils still myself because I've not had them, very long. This is probably the third or fourth project I've done with the Polychromos, and they're quickly becoming one of my favorite pencils. I just did a project, which I'm going to post after this, of the Caran d'Ache pencils. First one I've ever done. And I can say that they are beautiful. They are vibrant. The only thing that I don't like about them is that they are very crumbly. And with a wax pencil, that means you're using that pencil up really fast. And those are some expensive pencils to use. But as I was giving this project away as a gift for going away present for a provider of mine who's leaving the area. I work in healthcare, so I was doing this for his daughter. But the Caran d'Ache are very crumbly, but so very pigmented, and they are like butter, so smooth. But they don't erase well. Not even the lightest mark will want to erase, and that's because they're so very pigmented. And it's kind of the same thing with the Polychromos. They are very pigmented pencils and high grade, so therefore, the mark that you put down, you want to make sure that that's where it's going to be. So I say, if you want to go ahead and do just a pencil sketch, get that on out there, do a real light pencil sketch, and then go over the top of it, you can do that. If you're one that doesn't like to erase your graphite before you go over the top of it with something, or you think it's going to show through, as in your lighter colors, your yellows and your greens and your flesh tones, then, just take the chance in using if you're doing a person, take a light pink or a light peach, and mark out all your drawing in that light color, because whenever you get everything done, it's just going to blend in. You'll never see the drawing, the under drawing with the pencils. So the avatar is the one I did for my provider's daughter coming up. She is blue, so I was like, well, I don't want to use really graphite because I don't want to I don't want to have any kind of underlayment of graphite left, and the yellows and everything that are in the eyes. So I went, and it was going to be a difficult drawing, I knew anyway, because I never had done an avatar, and they're just, intricate subject matter anyway. So I took the indigo blue and did a really light, of the Caran d'Ache, and did a really light drawing for the underdrawing of it. And then whenever I went over the top of it, I couldn't even tell. So there's another pro tip. Just use a color of the of something that you've picked out, like through your colors. If you found like browns, say you're doing this, going to do a brown horse, pick out your lightest brown that you're going to have included in that, and just make your sketch. You'll never know that line was even there. So that you can go over the top of it, and you can use solvents, you can blend things out. So it's not like graphite, which will smear and make everything gray and dirty looking. So and if you hear a dog snoring in the background, that's my old English bulldog. Her name's Karma. So but with this drawing here, with all the marks that I'm making for the lines and the for his spots, I was using either the indigo blue or the black, or sometimes I would do if I wasn't sure if I really wanted that dark spot there, I was just kind of questioning the drawing and where I wanted to put things. I just used the light gray to go in the real light French gray and see if I even liked it where I was putting it. Each layer of this, I started out with a really light color, the light grays, which were the cold gray too. I used quite a lot of, and I used the warm gray one, which is really, really light, and it's a soft, warm color. So I always used it almost as a highlight. And then in the other areas where the white fur would go underneath, because white is never white. It's always a reflection of other colors that are around it. I used the sky blue. I used that quite a lot. I probably could have used some lavender as well, but I didn't want it to get too confusing. And then the picture that I was using to do the drawing of the snow leopard, I didn't really pick up any colors of the violet in there. I picked up more like the yellows and green and blues and browns. So that's what I stuck with. It's like right there, I think I'm using the Payne's gray there. So it looks like a bluish, it's almost a bluish gray, Payne's gray, and then the dark indigo too. So, but that Payne's gray was a nice color for the spots. Because you only use your blacks and the darks to the shadows, your true blacks. But there, when I'm going through the whiskers, putting all the coloring in where it kind of tips down and goes around the bottom of his chin or tucks up underneath his lip. Put some blue in, and that's going to give you some definition as to where your shadows and everything are supposed to go. I use, for my reference photos, sometimes I'll go to like Pixabay or .com, and I'll look up different images that I want to use. And I have a habit of doing just, freehand. I don't really like to grid my drawings up. It's not something I enjoy doing. It makes it too mechanical for me, even though I have done those in the past. And if you do need to do something that's super accurate and like a portrait or like a movie star or just something that you just have to get totally spot on, definitely use the grid method because it'll save you so much time and so much hassle. I want to take and talk about the paper for a minute. The paper that I was using was actually a watercolor paper, Canson's watercolor paper. So I have found that I really do like to work on watercolor with the Polychromos pencils because not only can it take a solvent and, not buckle and warp and make everything look bad, it doesn't peel up. And by that I mean the paper layers separating and coming up one by one, like if you get it too moist, because it's meant to take moisture. Well, for watercolor paper, mixed media papers can sometimes be iffy with what and how much liquid they will hold and can take. So I have tried different drawings, even using the Polychromos on the Canson's mixed media, and I didn't like the paper at all. So my favorite choice of paper is probably the Bristol 400 series, and I also like Strathmore, pretty much anything Strathmore. They are just a good quality paper, and they will take a lot of erasing and redoing and working. So it's a really good quality paper as well. I have used, instead of using I know a lot of people use Posca pens or gel pens and everything for the highlights in the eyes to get everything to pop, or if they need a highlight on a nose or somewhere else. And I have tried the Posca pens and I don't like them. They just make everything, like if I dot the picture just at the wrong point, then it might release too much paint. Or the gel pens, which they're not archival, and or with the Posca as well, they'll scratch off the surface of the wax or the Polychromos, over time. And I don't want, something like that I'm going to be giving to someone, or even storing it like that, and then over time it degrading. And I take a lot of time to do my drawings, so I want them to look good. I want them to be able to pull out, take them to the printer, have someone print off, a few prints for me, be able to take them to a show, sell them, do whatever I need to do. And so I have been using the titanium white powder. It is made by a company, and you can get most of these things you can't find in a regular store. I don't even know if you can get them at Blick's art stores. But you can get the, you gotta have two things and then a paintbrush that's just basically designated for the highlight materials. And that is it's called Brush and Pencil, Color Pencil Titanium White. It's like a white powder used with colored pencils, for colored pencils. And then to mix it, you use the Brush and Pencil, Colored Pencil Touch-Up Texture. And this is Touch-Up Texture you can also use if you have gotten to a point in your drawing where you can't add any more layers. They're coming up, or they're just smearing across, and you just can't get, but you need to keep going. So you can brush this over the top of your picture where it's gotten really shiny, or you just can't get another layer. And it's supposed to make it like a tacky top so that you can add another layer and keep going. I have not tried that out thus far. That's something that I'll probably do a tutorial on. So before you go whole hog on that, make sure you do it on like a scrap piece of paper. first before you go through and do it on a drawing which you might give away. I also wanted to talk to you guys about the use of pencils. I know a lot of people are using either the, there's all kinds of color pencils out there. You can go anywhere from Crayola all the way up to the most expensive, your Derwent, your Caran d'Ache, the Polychromos. And it depends on what kind of artist that you want to be, what you want to produce, and what your purpose for this pencil is. If you're doing it just as like a hobby, just something to color at home, you're not going to sell your artwork, you're just going to, use it for yourself, or you're using like a coloring paper or coloring book, like an adult coloring book, but you want your, pictures and everything to look nice, then I would suggest like a studio quality pencil. The ones that I have used, and I can't speak for all brands, but the one that I used all through college was the Prismacolor pencils. They're a good pencil, and they're inexpensive. Their light fastness quality is not great, but on the flip side of that, if you consider yourself a professional artist, without getting into the expense, or you can't afford the expense of the more expensive pencils. I mean, and I am 45 years old, so it's taken me many years just to get to the point where I could afford to get the more expensive pencils, because they both together were around $500, and that is nothing to sneeze at when you're talking about an art supply. But the Prismacolor pencils range about from $1.25 probably to $2.10 a piece per pencil. The Polychromos Fabre-Castells, they run more, up to, probably could get 2 for $6, so about $3 a piece, depends on if you can catch stuff on sale. Caran d'Ache is, depending on the color of the pencil, I have seen them anywhere from $2 to $10 for a pencil. So that kind of hurts your wallet big time. But as I was saying, the Prismacolor pencils, if you are an artist or consider yourself to be a professional, but you're not going to sell your originals, I would go with Prismacolor, because they are available pretty much everywhere you go. They're available at your Hobby Lobbies, your Michaels, your Walmart will carry some. Your art stores around town, around colleges, carry them. They're just studio grade, student quality, college quality pencil. And you can do fabulous work with them. They blend well. They take solvents. They mix with a little bit of everything. They're easy to erase. They're a wax pencil, so you are going to have some crumbling with them, but you're not going to have the crumbling with them like you would, like I said, the Caran d'Ache. Caran d'Ache has got a whole lot less binder than it does pigment, and so whenever you put that down on the paper, you're going to see a lot more crumbling, just because of the quality of the pigment and the lack of the binder in the pencil. But I have used Prismacolors on many things. I did a picture of the Lion and the Lamb, which was probably one of my first videos that I've ever shown. The Lion and the Lamb was done in Prismacolor, and I use solvent with it. And I just keep it in my sketchbook, and I don't take it out, and it's not in the sun. But if I want to make a copy of it, say, for a friend, or I can upload it and get a Jacqueline print done. Or if I want something less expensive, I can take it down to, office supply store and just get a copy made to give to someone. The Prismacolor would be good for like students, like teenagers and things like that are learning how to use a better art supply than like your Crayolas or your rose art pencils and things like that that don't have a whole lot of pigment to them, and a lot of wax. So those would be a good upgrade for any aspiring artist, because you can take it from, doodling to a professional looking piece with the same pencil, and it's a good quality. It's got a lot of versatility. The only thing I can say is that if you're going to do something in fur that has animals and it's going to be an up close, shot or something that's got to have a lot of details, and you do have this, a little extra money to spend on your art supplies, go ahead and I'd say go get the better pencil. Get the Polychromos, the Fabre-Castell Polychromos, because the oil-based Polychromos pencils, number one, they last a long time. Leads, they don't break. They don't chip. You're not going to see any debris off that pencil. As you can see in this picture here, I haven't used the brush. I've got a brush that I use, just like a regular house brush, paintbrush, to get rid of the extra debris so it doesn't smear into the picture when I'm drawing. So nothing falls off of these pencils, and they stay sharp, which means that they come to a fine point, and you can get really defined lines, defined hair, eyelashes, or if you're doing like a large drawing of like a iris of an eye, say, or a fish scales or something like that, and you just need a lot of detail, this is your pencil. But primarily I would use it with any like animal prints, if you're going to do animal prints or animal drawings in fur. And these are a good light fast pencil. You could make a drawing with these and sell these, or give the piece away, and I wouldn't have any fear of doing a project and giving this to someone to last, for years. I think the Caran d'Ache, which is probably one of the highest grades that you can get for a pencil, he's got a light fast rating of 100 years. So that's even with being in the sun, which I would, if you sell your prints, I would say never put your originals in the sun, because it deadens the colors, and the sun does what it does. It makes things fade. So, but yeah, for original drawings that you're going to give away, a high grade, light fast Polychromos, your Derwents, light fast colors, which are up there with the Caran d'Ache. Although I'm not sure the cost of those, because I don't use that brand. I've never purchased anything or tried those, so I can't give you a definitive on that. But the Caran d'Ache, yes, are a really good grade pencil. They're good for portraits. So if you're doing a lot of things that are smooth, like water, picture portraits of the face, if you're doing, say, smooth flowers, petals, and things like that, if you're doing, I wouldn't say that they're good for landscapes, because they're too buttery, and they won't give you a crisp outline. The Caran d'Ache won't, because of them being a wax-based pencil. They're just too soft. But those are a little bit about each brand that I have used, and I hope that helps. So, leave a comment, like and subscribe to the channel, so I can keep making my content. And if you got questions, leave a question below, and I'll get back with you. I do apologize for not posting anything in a long time. I had and things going on with the family. And like I said, I work in healthcare, so we had things going on at work, and wasn't able to get to, do my drawings and get everything done that I needed to get done. So I apologize about that. But I'm going to be getting back at it. And I've got another video to post after this, and this is of it's an avatar. So this picture here, I didn't even think that I was going to use it. I was just doing it for a drawing for myself, but my sister likes snow leopards, so I plan on giving this original to her so she can hang it up in her house. But I had a friend that needed some assistance, was going through a hard time medically, and so I ended up doing several prints of this, and that helped him out. So I'm glad and thank you everyone who bought a print to help this family. I really appreciate it, and they do too. So but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hop off here. I'm gonna put some background music on and let you enjoy watching the transformation take place of the snow leopard. And like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and thank you so much. wanted to thank everybody for watching today, and to mention that the solvent that I'm using is called Orange Zest It, and you can get that overseas. It's a pencil blender, or solvent for colored pencils. It's specific to them. I did also want to mention to clean up the edges and everything with erasers. With your eraser, I like to use the polymer erasers. You can get those at any office supply store, the white ones. They do really well at removing colored pencil, graphite, charcoals, and better than the pink erasers. So the tape also that's around your picture, you want to remove it and take it off as quickly as possible so that it doesn't delaminate the top of your paper, and cause like a scarring almost. The bristle or brush that you use that will ruin the bristles with the solvent. So it's not going to be suitable to be used with watercolors or acrylics or oils again. So designate that just for your solvents. But I want to thank you for your support, and please like and subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you.